President Trump usually strikes back. If you want to go in a straight hand-to-hand combat with him, you better be ready. But you're going to be paying the price because he will start telling the truth. I don't know how permanent that peace is going to be after so much loss that Ukrainian people suffered. A lot of things can change in 4 years, in the future, and then it remains to be seen who eventually will win the war. But, you don't win every battle.
Can we start from the latest statements of President Trump on Zelensky and Ukraine? Specifically, American president called Zelensky dictator without elections.
I think it's a bad idea for any foreign leader to make publicly offensive statements against President Trump. Even if you have disagreements, it's better to resolve it, especially for the country. He's president of the country who's done a lot, around the world and Ukraine, and really the only hope right now to not that further escalation of that war. So I think it's very unwise. I would say this is a bad idea, and President Trump usually strikes back. If you want to go in a straight hand-to-hand combat with him, you better be ready. But you're going to be paying the price because he will start telling the truth. And I don't think truth is pretty for President Zelensky to make strikes like that.
There are a lot of thoughts that it could be some kind of a negotiations tactic from the part of Trump. Do you see this possibility, that those statements could be the negotiation tactics?
No, it's a response to some statement. Usually he probably wouldn't be doing it, but when you publicly try to become offensive and really, Zelensky said a lot of different bad things about Biden, but Trump is not Biden. Let's be realistic. He doesn't take criticism without response. And I just don't think you can disagree in a productive way. And actually, the president of France today was able to disagree in some, but it was very healthy and productive. He didn't escalate the situation. That shows the maturity and capabilities of some leaders and lack of maturity and understanding, especially leaders like Trump. I don't think Putin would do something dumb like that.
Do you think those statements from President Trump could have done some impact on negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, if any? Do you think there was any impact?
No, I don't think so. It's actually probably didn't help President Zelensky from the perspective of his, but I don't think it really matters at all. And I don't think it's really, listen, no one cares about statements. People care about weapons and what's done behind the scenes. And President Trump had a lot of very smart people that know what's going on, and now we know where we need to get.
Do you think could be those statements a sign that United States may abandon Ukraine in this fight?
Well, as the United States is really the only country right now that can push back on Putin right now, at least not to escalate further, and at least they have some peace. I don't know how permanent that peace is going to be after so much loss that Ukrainian people suffered. It's brutal. It's terrible what Ukrainian people went through, but at least it's not going to escalate further. It's going to be some resolution, and then a lot of things can change in 4 years, in the future, and then it remains to be seen who eventually will win the war. But you don't win every battle, but I think Ukrainian people and Ukrainian military should be proud of themselves. What they've done without much help, I'll be honest with you, without help from their own government, very weak leaders in the United States, very weak leaders in Europe, slow working the aid and everything, and what they were able to accomplish, it's really the credit to all of them, to their bravery and sacrifice, and I think future generations of Ukrainians will appreciate that, even if the current government is not.
Where do you think we're standing right now regarding relationships between Ukraine, United States, and Russia?
Every country needs to be able to work with the United States. We're an important player in foreign politics, and I think we're an important player around the world. But I think Europeans have to step up too. I think they've been really passing the buck too much on the United States, and I think President Trump is very fair, saying, you need to step up. Will I? He said today, and actually in his press conference with Macron, that NATO is important if it's done right. but they cannot just continue wanting Americans to pay for everything, and they have stupid policies, appeasing Russia on gas or oil, having open borders, destabilizing Europe, and really not deterring China sufficiently. So I think there are a lot of things Europeans doing, that really, that they should be thinking about that, including make sure that they have strong military and weapons to protect NATO, be a strong ally. And some of them do better. The one that closer to Russia understand very well, but some of them are playing politics and doing a lot of messaging. No one cares about the UN resolutions. Russia is not afraid of UN resolution. Give me a break. Russia understands the language of weapons and power. That's the only language they do.
Do you think Congress may somehow impact politics of administration, if necessary, regarding Ukraine-Russia policies?
Well, listen, I think there are a variety of views in Congress too, but I think Congress has been, very supportive in President Trump and the mandate of the American people. We represent the people, and I think President Trump is not doing anything that he was not campaigning on. So we have a mandate, and he was campaigning to stop that war. He was campaigning not to further escalate the situation, and ultimately he got elected, and he got a popular vote. So American people are with him, and Congress needs to be delivering on the promises, that President Trump and American people, the mandate they given to us.
Do you personally think that Ukraine should hold elections right now?
At some point, Ukraine needs to have elections. I think you need to stabilize the situation, make sure that they can have fair, transparent elections, but ultimately, even under Ukrainian constitution, that it's already past time, and Ukraine kind of, instead of created some temporarily, maybe, war cabinet and temporary government and empowering parliament, it's really by Ukrainian constitution should have powers during the war times, really try to concentrate even more power in the presidential office. He would kind of really not really legitimate. So there is a truth to it too. So that actually causes a lot of problems. Russia could legitimately say, well, you have a legitimate president signing these contracts and deals, like, is it really illegitimate? So they always can have excuses to do that. But we are where we are. Ukrainian parliament didn't take its power for a variety of reasons, and that's ultimately their fault. But they made that decision. So, it will be resolved with the current situation, but then they need to make sure, and that election will decide the future of the country. If they continue electing bad leaders, Ukraine will be completely taken over by Russia eventually.
Do you think President Trump should meet Vladimir Putin right now, or Zelensky, in which, who should be first? What do you think about those meetings?
Oh, that all doesn't matter for a second. I mean, he will have to be meeting with both and need to have a serious conversation. And President Trump will always act in the interest of the United States. But that's what it should be. You were elected by the people of your country, and that is the interest that you have to represent. The same President Zelensky, who should fight for interests of his country, Putin will fight for his own interests. That's the reality of life, politics, and politicians. But President Trump tried to resolve the situation, and to resolve it, he has to talk to both of these leaders. And I think these leaders need to be, a little bit more professional from Ukrainian side and not make this public drama, which not helping Ukraine at all.
11 years ago, on February 20th, 2014, Russia first invaded Ukraine. So this war is happening at more than a decade right now. And 3 years ago, Russia invaded in its full scale. I have 3 questions regarding these anniversaries. What were the mistakes of this war? What were the achievements? And what the lessons should be learned from this war so far?
This is sad what Russia was able to get away with, and that's starting with President Obama, and he really started with President Bush and not really being stronger. He was busy with the Iraq war, so he didn't want to deal with them, and Putin was able to advance a lot. And then under Trump, he kind of didn't move because Trump told him not under my watch, and he started advancing. So I think it's terrible, but it's also Ukrainian people not to thinking about if you want to have peace, you need to have strong country and strong leadership, to be able to win the war. When I came a few weeks before the war started, and we tried to convince your president and say, hey, you need to get ready to this war. Russia is going to invade. He was talking about shish kebabs and how this is. I'm like, are you kidding me? So we were very surprised, and that kind of lost a lot of trust from a lot of foreign leaders, including United States leaders, how serious he was and what the country was doing. I mean, thank God he had the militaries that were thinking differently in spite of what he was trying to do. So I think Ukraine, we need to think about it, how they can be strong, have strong military, strong weapon production, strong economy, and be involved with the United States. Because when you have American companies, not Chinese and Russian, doing business in Ukraine, you're more likely Americans are going to get involved and protect Ukraine from invasion. So I think you have to be very pragmatic, but you need to have smart leaders who are not corrupt to cure the country. But it's also, Europe needs to learn a lesson that Russia is fighting, very multidimensional hybrid warfare. And you have to fight Russia. Soviet Union was not taken down by weapons. Russia is the same way. It has to be multidimensional, and Russia cannot get away with they've been getting away with stuff. So I think that's up to Europe. They need to think about it. They are much closer to Russia and to all of these problems, and they need to think how they deal with them. And they have been doing a lot of talk, but not the work.
Where are we now in this war? If it would be a book, what chapter it is? Where are we now in this war?
I bet it will be up to the Ukrainian people, what chapter, how they want to end the war. Ultimately, all democracies, republics, and, victories are done from bottom up, So I think it will be depends, what the chapter Ukrainian people want to write and where they want to be. But I think if people want to be strong country, which I think they have enormous potential to be strong, democratic, powerful, member of European society, Ukrainians need to elect leaders that want to have these democratic structures. They want to eradicate corruption. They want to have good economy investment and empower the people to have good life, and not just trying to create oligarchs and oppression on top. So I think that's a choice that Ukrainian people, will have to make. But ultimately, a lot of them die for freedom. So I hope they will make a right choice for them, but it only can be done from bottom up.
What should be the future plan for Ukraine? Is it victory? Is it peace or surrender?
Well, listen, as I said, the leaders of the country decide, as the leader of the United States, I look at everything, we're going to win, we may not win every battle, but we're going to win the war, and Ukrainian people will have to decide. You don't win every battle, some battles could have been lost much worse, I think that could have been much worse if Ukrainian military didn't stand up. So I think they were able to done a lot from what they had accomplished, enormous amount, of things, but ultimately to win the war, they will need to decide who they're going to lead and how they're going to win the war, because they can win. Russia is not that powerful, but they need to have smart people with integrity and who care and really value the life and what is happening in the country. So ultimately it will be up to them.